Hello, friends. This is Chandrakant from Akul Mac, and we are very honored and pleased to have a very distinguished guest on our show today. Her name is Aparna Ranadive. She is the woman entrepreneur of today. She is actually wearing three hats at the moment. She is CEO of a company called Practical Magic and Advisory Services. She is also co founder and CEO of the Gateway to India, and she is also executive director of Global Chambers of Commerce Mumbai edition. So I wonder how she is wearing so many hats at the same time, and how she shuffled between changing over one hat to the other. But I think we will know her journey of leadership. So without further ado, let me present Aparna to you.
Hi, CK. Good afternoon, and thank you for welcoming me to the show.
It is a pleasure, Aparna. I think your role and profile is really amazing, and I think there is a lot of learning hearing from you. So, what is your life lesson that you would like to share with the viewers and with me today?
Well, I think, like I was telling you some time back, I call myself Destiny's child, and right from a young age, fate and destiny has sort of guided me. But nonetheless, I guess if you don't take learnings from whatever that we've experienced, that experience itself is futile. So, from that perspective, I'd like to share the very first organization that I worked with and the experience that I sort of had from there. I started there straight out of college. I was a microbiologist by vocation and had absolutely no knowledge of the commercial world. And it just so happened that I managed to join this place as a management trainee. I should not name the organization, but nonetheless, it was one of the largest organizations back then, and even today. As a management trainee, one was expected to go through the entire, functioning of the organization. There was a 1 year training period that you had to go through each and every function, and there came a time. I handled every possible function that was there. So right from the commercial, the non-commercial, the external customer facing, and the internal customer facing as well. There came a time in the life cycle of the organization where it had to go through a tough phase, and the regulators had come down cracking on it. And by then, my entire team. So I was the youngest in the team, of course, all of 1920, and my boss and I, we were the only ones remaining in the team. The rest of them had all sort of either resigned or had been laid off, or something or the other had happened. And there was, so while my boss was handling all the strategic aspects of the regulatory shutdown, or the regulatory aspect that had come through, I had to manage people, I had to manage the operational aspect, and that's where the real core HR work really began. And the point I'm trying to drive home is that, if we treat every experience as a learning experience, there's so much to take back home. And we cannot really typecast ourselves to say that, oh, I'm an HR professional, so I will only be doing HR, or there is something else that I'm doing. So only sort of, sort of put yourself in that kind of a bracket and do that alone. So during this journey, there came a point where, I had to lay off about 800 odd people between Bombay and another place, two units in Bombay and another place outside of Bombay. And there were all these people who were in the age groups of 45 upwards, 47, 50, all upwards, knowing fully well that, there is a high possibility that these people may not get a job again. Because they were not all that qualified, and considering that there were just two of us manning the entire fort, I was literally put in front of them to manage their wrath and to, kind of take care of what was happening with them, to convince them if possible, and if not possible, then, to ask them to take that kind of initiative that the company had offered them. But there came a point where they all felt that I was also a management stooge, because I was running between that company and the parent company, trying to, work the best deal for them, and in terms of numbers. So from a learning perspective, I think it would have been one of the best learnings possible for handling of crisis, to maintaining your mental agility, to maintaining your emotional balance, um, to being able to be diplomatically suave and smart, so that you maintain the secrecy of what was happening back in the management team, and at the same time ensuring that the message does not get diluted and the work gets done the way it is supposed to get done. So I think from that perspective, for a 19-20-year-old, there could not have been a better learning than that. And I sort of treasure that, because while doing all of this, I was also dealing with the topmost management of the parent company. So they were all bigwigs who had spent 25, 30 years in the organizations, very well known in the industry, and names to reckon with. And they were sitting across the table with me saying, Aparna, you need to do this MIS like this. You need to be, looking at these numbers. So I treated that experience as a learning experience from the word go. You know, because it was not very easy. You had to keep your feet on the ground, on your head, on your shoulders, showing fully well that you were in control of the situation as well. Because otherwise, they could have easily, taken me off and put somebody else who was smarter there, and ensured that the job got done. But I needed to be there. I had taken that responsibility on my head. Um, so it was all today when I look back, I think that was one of the sort of grounding lessons that I had in life, my very first job in my career. And that came in very handy when I was doing, as I was growing through my career in life, and handling many more stressful situations as well. So yeah, I think brilliant learning.
Well, Aparnaji, I think this is a great story that you have told us from just one of the leaf from your illustrious career. And I know when you speak like this, I know I can relate to myself also, and many people like me who would have gone through this such a experience. Seniors sometimes throw you in cauldron and ask you to fix the issues, and then you have to think on your own, find solution, and find a balance. Um, and right now you are basically a very well accomplished professional, but obviously you did not become what you are today overnight. You have gone through the grind, and this is one of the story of a grind which you are sharing with our viewers. So, what is
Right.
the major learning you think you got at such a early, young age and early part of your career?
So I think first and foremost, like I was saying, that the presence of mind, your emotional and mental balance. Because you should also remember that so I'm a very as an individual, as a personality, I am a fairly sensitive person, and I tend to episodes in life, they kind of remain, they make an impact on my mind and my heart. And sometimes I do take decisions based on certain emotions that play in. So my father had been he had faced with a similar situation when I was still in college, or rather I had just about started working. And the moment I was sort of signing off letters or having these conversations with these 800 people, every time my father's face came in front of me, that I don't know what he must have gone through, looking and thinking about two young daughters who are there, and a relatively sick wife to take care of, and to have gone through an episode like this in life. I think it's not just socially, back then it was nothing to do with your social image, it was more about sustenance, it was more about so I had to keep all of that aside while that was still playing on my mind. I had to keep that aside, and I had to think about these people there, and think like a professional. Make sure that what the parent company was giving them was much more than fair. Because, like I said, they would not have possibly got jobs after that, or some of them did get jobs. Making sure that they got recommendation letters right, making sure that everything that was being promised to them was delivered to the last T. And to top it all, imagine the kind of emotional stress that one goes through, that a building, an organization that has given you your first 3 4 years, you've given your first 3 4 years and your learnings. You have to actually walk out of that door, and you're the one who's putting the lock on that door. I think in terms of emotional duress as well as emotional strength and mental strength, I don't think there would have been an episode stronger than that or more fierce than that to have taught you that what needs to be done in life needs to be done. What professionally you have to do. Everything else is secondary. At that point in time, your karma is what you're supposed to be dealing with and doing it. Later on, of course, I went through my own piece of emotional turmoil and all of that, but at that point in time, I could not have possibly shown it to anybody, neither the people on the floor. And at 19 20 to do that, I think was in itself a huge thing. So from that perspective, I think the learning that one gets is definitely resilience, definitely endurance, definitely presence of mind, and your mental and emotional agility and strength.
So Aparna ji, when you are working for the US companies, and I used to meet a lot of these people who are specialized in firing people. They're always in the flight, and they are going from city to city firing people. There are specialized people who are doing that, and in the states we don't get to do it ourselves. If we have
Correct.
to fire our team, we don't get to do it ourselves. We have a specialized person who will come and fire that person, whoever that person
Right.
he that person can be CEO or it could be anybody. But
Correct.
in India, we are we have to do everything. We have to wear many hats at the same time. uh,
Yeah.
did this episode very early, did it change your attitude towards ethics, world culture? Did it help you in shaping, or made you little hard towards professionalism and other people? What was the impact on you?
I must say it did have a lasting impact, for the simple reason that one is it definitely hardened me to that extent. But having said that, I still remained pretty sensitive about the fact that you are dealing with a person, and I think as an HR professional, this does become an integral part of your job, because at every point in time, you are called on to either be the announcer of bad news or the executioner in so many ways, whether it is and you have to, whether you like it or you don't, sometimes these tough decisions are what you need to take for the better good of the company, your team, or the business, and what have you. So I think this episode in itself had a lasting impact. I did realize that this is going to be a part of my role if I do decide to take on HR further ahead, and be an HR professional. And unfortunately or fortunately for me, this did keep repeating time and again through various businesses and through various points in time. But having said that, despite having swung the axe on many an occasion, I must say that the people who did get affected as well, they still write back to me, or they still connect with me and say, we still talk about the happy notes, we still talk about the good things that we did together. Those were decisions that both parties understand was required by the business at that point in time, and there's no animosity as such personally. But I think that also goes to show that there was a sensitivity involved, and I did maintain that sensitivity there, and I did not sort of come across as a cutthroat, mercenary or a cutthroat professional who's only out there to fire people. There were certain times that we did take those opportunities to outplay certain people, to give them my own personal contacts and make sure that they did get opportunities elsewhere as well. So I think it did teach you quite a bit, even further on. And yeah, so that's how it went.
So literally, it prepared you for life. So I'm sure, since you have so many activities right now going in your professional career, uh, I think you are very cool with asking people to, leave. Probably if they are not adding any value. I'm sure you can do that now.
Well, I hate doing it, but yes, I make no bones in. I make sure that I give opportunities enough for people to mend their ways. But if there is, when you see that despite opportunity, despite guidance, despite that uh, coaxing, despite all the kind of cajoling that you can do, if the other person is not willing to pull up their socks, is not willing to deliver as per a requirement, then unfortunately that's the last resort left, and you have to do it. And if you have to do it, you have to do it. So there's no other way to looking at it. And I can't say it's easy. Even now, it is very difficult. Even if it means firing, asking the maid at home to go back and not come from the next day onwards. I think I find it extremely difficult doing it, because then I keep thinking, should I have been more patient? Should I have, been a little more tolerant, or should I just have what I did was right? It plays on my mind for quite a long time. But at the same time, I know what ultimately I have done is the right thing and the best thing to have been done in that point in time. So yes.
Well, I think there is a lot of learning for the viewers, and personally for me, I think hearing this incident, and you mentioned very powerful words that you are in touch with those people who you had to lay off very early in your career. Obviously, when people are in their 30s and 50s and 40s, they know exactly it is not you who are, you're also one of the employee, and you're just carrying out the objectives of the organization. So I think that is why the animosity is not there, and you are in connections with them,
That's right.
and you carried out your responsibility as a professional. So I think the learning for us, all of us, is that you got to do what you got to do. You don't want to shun away your responsibility which has been given to you. And as Aparna ji said today, karma. So it's also the Krishna said that you do your karma, and you don't think about anything else. So it was pleasure talking to you today, Aparna ji, and catch up with something more interesting very soon in the next episode.
Pleasure was all mine. Thank you so much for making this discussion as interesting as well.